Japan is probably one of the most exciting places that I've ever traveled to. There is so much stuff to do there, and it is very unique because there is just a lot of things that you can't find anywhere else in the world. The first thing that we did when we got there was go to this robot restaurant. Now, when we went there, it was actually really hard to find because we didn't have Google Maps. This was before smartphones were popular, like 2013, and so we were just walking around, looking at all these really cool signs. It was really hard to communicate because they didn't speak English there and we didn't speak Japanese. So we were just using Google Translate on our phones, trying to get by. And then finally we found the restaurant, and when we walked in, it was probably one of the coolest things that I'd ever seen in my life. There were robots everywhere. They were serving food, dancing, interacting with the customers. One of them even came over and sat on my shoulders. And yeah, it was just really cool. We took tons of pictures and videos, and we're still talking about how awesome it was. Like even now, almost 10 years later, I'm still like, remember that time that we went to the robot restaurant? It was so cool. One of the most memorable parts of the trip was going to this cat island. Now this island is famous for having tons of cats on it. They say that there is like over 100 feral cats that live on this island, and they all just kind of roam free. The locals really take care of them. They feed them and make sure that they're all healthy and happy. When we got to the island, we were walking around and pretty soon we saw a bunch of cats. They were everywhere, like literally everywhere. There were cats lounging on the beach, cats hanging out in the trees, cats walking down the street. It was really cool. And we were just, taking pictures and videos and, marveling at how beautiful and amazing the cats were. What was really cool is that some of the cats were actually friendly and would come up to us and rub against our legs and, meow for attention. So we spent a lot of time just hanging out with the cats, petting them, playing with them, and it was so much fun. The other thing that was really cool about the cat island is that it has this really cool history. Apparently, in the olden times, sailors would bring their cats to the island so that they could hunt down all of the rats and mice that were getting into their ships. And so the cats kind of just stayed on the island, and now there are just tons of them. We also visited this really cool temple. It was like way up in the mountains, and to get there we had to walk across this really old wooden bridge. And I remember when we were walking across the bridge, it was kind of creaky and wobbly, and I was like, oh my God, what if this thing collapses? But we made it across the bridge, and then we started walking up this really steep hill, and it was like, we're never gonna make it. Like, this is impossible. But we kept going, and eventually we made it to the top of the hill and we saw this temple, and it was just, surrounded by mountains and trees, and it was just so peaceful and serene. And we were like, wow, like this is so worth it. The view was absolutely breathtaking, and it was just a really special moment. We also went to this really cool market, and it was like a traditional Japanese market where they had all of these different stalls, and each stall was selling like a different type of food. There was like tons of seafood, like fish and shrimp and crab. There was also like grilled chicken and beef and pork. And then, of course, you had like the typical Japanese snacks like the seaweed and the rice crackers and the mochi. We tried a bunch of different things, and it was all delicious. But the best thing that we got was this grilled octopus. It was so tasty. It was like, perfectly cooked. It had this really nice smoky flavor, and it was just, really well seasoned. We loved it. Overall, Japan is just an amazing place, and we had such an incredible time there. If you're ever thinking about traveling to Japan, I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed.